So hence we have today a very learned speaker, CA Smita Bhide. Apart from being a CA, she's also done her CISA, she's done her DISA, and she's currently a practicing chartered accountant. But she's had her stint in both consulting and as a professional for this thing, as also in the industry. She was Nama Consultants Private Limited and also with BK Khare and Company earlier. She has 20 plus years of accounting, audit, assurance, and consulting career. Extensive experience in statutory audit, internal audit, tax audit, and transfer pricing of listed and private limited companies. Her expertise is in evaluating and auditing industries, auto components, FMCG, cable manufacturing, chemical and fertilizer software industry, internal audit and process review, manufacturing, chemical and construction companies handled ITCG audits. She's also done statutory audits of multinational clients, as also systems audit of ERP. She has also done extensive review of ERP post-implementation, process changes, impact analysis, migration audits, and global SAP tax implementation for financial reporting. She's also done business analysis for ERP implementation and consulting, and ITCGC audits and ITEC audits. She was one of the panelists for CA Sparks Emerging Trends in Profession for the CA students and young chartered accountants in the topic SAP audit, as also a guest lecture delivered on financial statement audit at Symbiosis School of Banking and Finance. With this, I hand over to Smita to take us forward. This is going to be a very interactive session, so please ask her questions and let's engage ourselves into this study group today. Thank you. Over to you, Smita.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, CA Purvi Malani, for the kind introduction. Now we'll start with our topic, audit in SAP environment. As already mentioned by Purvi, we'll have an interactive section. You can stop me anywhere you want to ask your doubts. I thank CA Murtuza Kachwala, Chairman WRC of ICI, for inviting me for the study circle meeting, and also CA Bhavin Parikh. So the agenda we'll be covering is SAP overview, SAP organization, accessing and navigation in SAP, accounting in SAP, master data, validation of automated controls, period and financial reporting, procure to pay, report validation, JV extraction and analysis, and interfaces to SAP. For the SAP overview, as I think you all know, SAP is a German company which was founded in 1972 with its headquarters in Germany. SAP has been implemented in 180 countries and having more than 440,000 customers across the globe. So SAP, the most important thing is that it creates a centralized system for businesses which enables every department to access and share common database to create a better work environment for every employee in the company. So if you see at where there is no ERP, you have various sets of database which all the employees in the organization are using. So here you have a single statement of truth, what is called. So if I extract the data, someone will say my Excel is showing X figure. In this case, this does not happen. Here you'll have the same statements, whoever is downloading. Why SAP is successful? The most important thing is it is multilingual. It has multi-currencies. So whenever you're entering a transaction in INR and you want to draw books in USD, you can also, there is a parallel accounting which happens. It can be in a other currency which you want. It has the best practices of internal controls implemented. The information is secure. And the most important thing is it is integrated with all the business processes that you implement. And it is enterprise-wide applications you have, like it's for manufacturing, chemical industries, and others also. So why SAP used maximum? Because of its integration. So this result shows that 77% of the world's transaction revenue, it is coming through SAP systems. So you can, wherever you're doing audits, you'll come to know that it has many companies have their SAP systems who are MNCs, and all their subsidiaries across the globe, they'll also have SAP. So it facilitates to them for generating of financial statements through SAP. So the consolidation also becomes easier, even though if it's their calendar year or a fiscal year, like the Indian. SAP is very integrated. It is online. You have all the data which is real time. At a click of a button, you get the balance sheet, financial statements, or any analysis that you want. The data structures in SAP are very complex, but the front end is very user friendly. You have standard reports, and there are built-in controls where you don't have to look into the basic hygiene of the system. Debit, credit, until and unless you enter a transaction, the transaction is not posted. And you, the most important thing, one of the requirement of the Companies Act, that you need to have the trail of all the transactions entered. So you have a trail of each and every transaction which is entered, along with the username and the timestamp of it. So as we said, we will have some interactive questions, or who all have done audits or their clients or an SAP.
I have done. Okay. Yeah, many audits.
Yes. So this is just as we had discussed, we'll have an overview of all. So now we have having various modules in SAP, which are that finance, controlling, material management, S&D, production planning, asset management. These are the core modules. Other than this, you are having PS, which is project systems, correct, HR. All these modules are integrated. You have the modules. Once you implement, the core module is finance in SAP. All the data flows to finance finally. Now SAP is integrated. So if we take one basic process of any manufacturing, when it starts from the sales order to MRP. Once I receive a sales order, your MRP is generated. PO, PR and PO linked to goods receipt, issue, production, delivery, invoicing, and till the payment. All these processes are integrated. Each and every cycle, all the data flows to finance. From finance, the data flows to CO, that is controlling module, wherever controlling module is implemented. So it depends on the company, which modules company wants to implement. So many companies go part by part module implementation, or they will do a big bang. They'll go live for all the modules together. So here the chart shows that each and every module is interacting with each other also, and all the data is stored on the server, which is the basic. So what we say, it has a centralized data. So everyone has access to the same data. So all the data is flowing through a common server and common database. Any questions so far?
I have one question.
Yes.
Meet, I hope everybody can hear me. While digging through through SAP, can you please cover comparison between Delhi and SAP? I know there is a vast difference, but then
yes,
what are the major differences where Delhi is lacking? Because there are Delhi is only have a single dimension in terms of accounts. But then what else can what other differences are there between SAP and Delhi?
Tally, I have not worked much. I know the basics, but I don't know whether Tally has all the internal controls implemented.
Does it have internal?
Because now they call it Tally ERP. So I'm not sure.
It would have, but a lot of functions wouldn't be embedded in it. A lot of controls wouldn't be embedded in it.
Most important, I feel Tally does not have the integration. So suppose I do a purchase order and I want to pass an invoice or a GR. It won't, I don't know whether it checks the data till the purchase order level.
Okay, so from control angle,
I feel control is the most important thing which is embedded in SAP.
Secondly, Tally is little open software in terms of, for example, you can pass a cash in cash ledger, you can pass a JV. there is an option in F11N, you can open that option, while SAP does not allow any such thing. So these are,
backend changes
and
will
cash
not be able
negative,
to, yeah.
cash negative, which we are often bringing into the audit, that will never happen in SAP.
So in SA, like he was mentioning, you can Tally does not have the functionality of accounting of inventory. It has purchase and sale,
So no movements
inventory.
cannot be
Correct.
tracked.
and the in between portion is left for whatever you want to do.
Balance.
That's correct.
Secondly, Tally becomes an accounting tool, while this is an analytical tool. You can get an aging at the click of the button, aging of inventory, aging of data, aging of payables.
You'll get a
You
lot
don't
of
get,
MIS
you don't get
reports.
Tally is
very
known as ERP, but it is not an ERP. It is just an accounting software.
exactly.
If you want to make an ERP, it is called as ERP, but it is not an enterprise resource planning tool.
Okay.
It is an accounting software.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank you.
Because of the name itself, so I didn't want to comment when they say ERP if they have those controls.
They of late they are starting,
Yes,
but
okay.
yet
It's
it
not
is
yet.
nowhere comparable to SAP.
No,
See,
SAP.
secondly, when your transaction quantum increases, imagine a company like maybe this company Daikin or Voltas or any other Bisleri for that matter.
They won't
Okay,
be
they
able
will have tons of transactions. Tally will not be able to. Tally beyond certain point is not able to help you
to.
in terms of, it becomes very slow.
The only thing
We have a
is that-
client which has turnover of 30 crore rupees only, but on our system we are not able to open his Tally. So what we have done is we have separated our server from their Tally. We have a different license for his Tally, his laptop, and 16 GB RAM, certain description with 120 or some SSD. Then only we are able to work on that laptop. Otherwise,
Thank you, sir.
yeah.
And what happens is that for medium and small scale industries, Tally may be yet this thing because they cannot
Afford.
the SAP. But for big corporates and multinationals and all, it's, I mean, Tally will not be able to withstand the controls.
And as you asked, most important thing is governance. If I want to follow all the governance, all the internal controls for getting the financials, that is the most important thing. Finally, all are coming up to that only while certifying. So Tally, instead of Tally, because the set of clients is different actually for comparison, Tally and the SAP. SAP, you have various products which are coming from mid-sized companies also. That is called business by design. It's a smaller product, but still the cost benefit analysis every company has to do. That is. Now, should we go ahead? Okay. So in SAP, like any other firm or company has a sales organization, you have an organization chart. Same is implemented in SAP also. So it has a hierarchy is defined. If you see here, SAP has a finance organization structure. Here you see SAP has the client as the apex level. Below that you have a company. Okay, the company code. To the company code, there is a concept called chart of accounts. In Tally, I don't think so. We have a concept of chart of accounts. Whatever new accounts you define, that is there. Chart of accounts is the heart in Tally in SAP for accounting. Below, under that, you see there are various companies. So for one company code or multiple company codes, you can assign a common chart of accounts. Whenever we do audit, we come across global clients where a holding company and subsidiary relationship is there. So all the subsidiaries use the same chart of accounts so that I can draw the financials which are standardized.
Integration becomes easier.
It becomes easier. Consolidation becomes easier, or getting the reports at the highest level becomes easier. Under the company code, there is a concept called business areas. So business area corresponds to the various plants or offices which are there in the organization. So it will map the physical existence of the organization in the business area. Suppose a company is having 4 plants. So it will assign every plant a business area. So one business area or plant is in Chennai, Goa, and Mumbai. So this will be at the 3 business areas. So on business areas, you can have the financial reporting. And at the company code level, it is the legal reporting. So in India, if I have to draw accounts for a company, ABC Limited, so it will be ABC Limited will be a company. Under that, these all will be the business areas. And if we want to go further details in this, to the where we see the chart of accounts. Under there, again, you are assigning depreciation chart of accounts here. So there you will do all the asset accounting related. That is which comes under the asset module. As we saw the organization structure for FI, same is the organization structure for MM module. So material management module. Here again, you have a client at the apex level, company codes. In finance, you call them as a business area. The same is replicated in MM as a plant. So every manufacturing unit represents a plant or a trading unit. So my manufacturing maybe line-wise is there. All that will be further details will be defined in the plant. In the plant, when all the manufacturing activities are defined, the entire MM structure comes here. So it is also called a logistics part also. So under the plants, you'll have various materials defined. So maybe raw material, WIP, FG, all this. So all those are stored in the storage locations. Under the plants, you can see storage locations are defined. So those storage locations, again, you have to map with the physical existence. If I map something in SAP, which is not physically existing, you will never be able to tally your accounts or books or at the lowest level, your physical stock. Whenever we go for stock date, we come to know that my physical storage location in SAP is MM01, suppose. But physically, if that location is not there, how am I going to match the physical stock with my books? That is the biggest challenge. So whenever we do any audit, the most important control we need to check is how the storage location is mapped with the physical storage location. Further to the storage locations, you have bins as you have in the companies. So there, those come to the final last point in the material storage locations. Okay. Any further point anyone wants? Clarification, you can stop me. Now, if all have done through this access, working on SAP clients, can we skip this session, this point? Or we'll just run through it? This is the SAP login, where you enter the SAP user ID and the password. Then you are having this is the main logon screen of SAP, where you have the standard menu as you have favorites in any other website. Here you have the user menus, which are your favorites. Then you have the menus where you can, the most beautiful and integrated part of SAP is you can go from the source transaction to the endmost point till the FI entry. Okay, so here is the drill down. In this slide, if you can see, here you are having material management in logistic as the topmost, SD, that is sales and distribution. Below that, you have a master data, support and sales. If you click on sales, you'll have inquiry, quotation, orders. Every menu in SAP has 3 accesses, which is given, that is create, to change and to display. So this is here, the more you drill down, you'll get all the details in it. So here in this green box, you can type the transaction code which you want to check. Suppose you want to check a GL balance, general ledger balance, you'll enter FS10N. Here it is VA01, you check a sales order. In case you do not know what is the T code, you can drill down with this. And also there is one lens. If we see the earlier slide in SAP here, if you can see the lens, there you can put the search function, whichever you want to see. Suppose you want to see relating to customer and you don't remember the T code. You put in customer, you will get to know all the transactions relating to that.
All the T codes.
All that, not the T codes. Suppose I want to know customer. So customer related, the first one will pop up here. So it is not easy to recollect all the transaction codes. And many times if you don't navigate in SAP, you will not know the path easily. So here, if you see this path, if you work on SAP, you'll come to know this is logical. But for a new user, that's easier to navigate. And also there's one,
Understand the T codes and know the T codes also is very difficult.
it's
to write.
difficult. And as we see, for even basic Excels, we don't know the commands. The more you use, the more it becomes easier also. No? You start to understanding the logic of it also. And now when you enter this T code command here, you have one T code in SAP which is called SAP1. If you just type in that, you will get all the commands in SAP there, T codes. Okay. So learning the T codes is not the most important thing. Understanding the logic and flow of SAP, how the modules flow and what are the menus in that. Okay, now just a brief to understand the SAP environment. See why SAP is so robust and we all rely on it is the most important thing. It is having 3 segregated layers. Like see, now if you have Tally, if we compare, because most of us are used to working on Tally, you have only one Tally. If the Tally crashes, it's gone. Then you rely on the backup, whatever you have. Anything you want to do in any other ERP, you're not testing it. Here, whatever I want to do, it is tested. So it is having 3 different servers for us. You can correlate that. It is a development server where the developer is doing all the changes. Suppose you give a request, I want to have X functionality. I want to have a sales order till the receipt from the customer for a export, which I want to implement new. All that will be developed by a developer, your vendor, in development. It will be tested by the company's process owner. Once he says it is fine, then it will go to the testing from testing environment to the live environment. All this is not done by a copy paste, which we are used to. That is done by a functionally called a transport request in SAP. So changes are adequately and independently tested by UAT. So UAT is user acceptance testing and approved before the transportation is moved to the production environment. So here if you see, these are the various servers. This is the development server. From here, it will go by way of a transport request to the quality server. Once it is tested by the end user, it will be moved to the production. So in SAP, production is always we should see on production. We should ask the client, give me access to production. And here in SAP, whatever data is there, that is copied to quality. So that is your backup, where you can see whatever it is a replication of production. You can ask what is the frequency of it in case they give you the quality access.
I have one question.
Yes.
I don't know when to ask, but then.
No, anytime.
See, in SAP, there are a lot of things which are not accepted if minimum data is not entered.
Correct.
Now, in terms of material movement,
Yes.
if suppose material is moved but data is not entered,
Correct.
then physically it could be at one place, but in records in SAP
Yes.
it could be a different location.
Correct.
So how to track it? Because then what happens if it is issued for production? In books, it could be still in stores.
Yes.
But actually, it has already been consumed.
Correct.
So, how to address these anomaly?
This is the very important and very nice question. Why? Because this is the issues we face in audit. So this is the control which we need to check. So for that, what you have to do first, you need to understand the business process. So whenever you're going for a audit, you have to check one walkthrough of the entire process what they are doing. Suppose now if I go for a manufacturing company, they have a 3 shifts. They always say ki at the end of first shift, they are handing over to the second person. So you should ensure that control is there, that physically all the goods are there, where who is entering in SAP.
Okay.
So that is the control which you have to have. If they are not entering in SAP, then you will not get the results expected, because my production will be there physically till the FG. And in SAP, the goods will be lying on the shop floor in the virtual location. So as we saw there, the plant and the storage location. Storage location will show that material is there in inventory, but physically it is not there. So this control that how they are entering and whether they have a perpetual inventory or they are taking at the cutoffs, stock takes, that is also most important point.
Ma'am, I just wanted to mention one thing. You did mention quality access. Now, I have seen many people use the quality as the user testing environment or a training environment. or like if they want to try out something. So from an audit perspective, I think if we want to test the process quality, as in when we are doing the process part of our audit, quality is good, but for a actual audit, especially like no, when we are commenting on transactions, that would not be a good area to depend on.
Correct. And just to take the point what you have mentioned, no, for our testing, we should always insist on production, because all the controls which are in production, how do we ensure they are in quality? So when is the quality backup taken? That is important. See, if it is taken 6 months before and then I have moved something to the production, and all the for testing and giving assurance on the financial statements, I have to take all the walkthroughs on production only. So we need to discuss with the client and plan our walkthroughs. We should ask them to take the live transaction and show us the walkthrough. So there we can test all the controls.
One dummy transaction.
No, live transaction actually. You should ask them to do a live transaction, like we do all the walkthroughs for control testing, correct? So there what we have to tell them, take a PO, whatever PO they have. We don't have to ask them to save, but ask them to enter all the fields, whether which is editable. So then only I have a comfort on production. See, many times it happens, we have done audit, they are very a basic control that cash payment cannot exceed 10,000. They said, nahi, ye hota hi nahi hai. But when you tell them enter 20,000, entry can get posted.
Yeah.
And they say we were not aware of this at all. So there are many things which we can check only in the production environment. See, once we test in quality, how do I ensure again I have to test the same on production?
Yeah, quality can, I mean, because it will not give you confidence that the
Correct.
comfort, whether
Correct.
it will pass through in the actual the same.
Yes. And finally, I'm going to draw a trial balance from the production. So I have to rely on production only. Very rare cases for product costing and all, if you want to test, they can
So
ask them
whatever
on.
features and production will be there in quality, but what is there in quality may not be there in production.
Yes. And some edits what they have done in quality, no, it is a testing finally. Suppose I transfer something to the production and I delete in quality. So that control will not be there in quality.
Right.
So that is the important thing of production data. So as we saw the importance of production, whenever a clients give you access to the production, the most important thing is we should only have the display access. We should never touch any transaction, anything in Tally, because it will get posted. It can get edited because we are having access to, if we have access for editing. So do not access production with any insert, edit or delete rights. And ideally, no one will give you those access right. But if you go to the user and you tell him to do something, just don't do that also. Because we don't know the user, end user. If he is responsible, he will say, I won't post this. But by chance, if he does, so that is a risk when we are doing testing also. So we should log on only to the read-only access. Okay. Now, masters are again the basis for all the transactions which we do in Tally, in SAP. Now, there are various masters. We'll just see a couple of them, but we'll list out the others. For FI, most important is the chart of accounts and the depreciation. In the chart of depreciation keys are defined, depreciation asset class is defined, and to them your respective GLs are assigned. So accounting is triggered from chart of accounts for depreciation. Every module has its core masters. If you see module, it's a vendor master. See, we all know the basic purchase process, sale process. So here material master is important. In SD module, customer master, price master is important. Price master is again important in module also. But in module, price will be captured from your purchases. But for SD module, price is important because you're entering the selling price, MRP there. Then CO is the controlling module. There you define profit centers and the cost centers. So whenever you're defining profit centers and cost centers, Profit center is at the apex. All the cost centers are attached to the profit centers. So suppose in a company you have various discussions, this is not a profit center, which is whatever was intended, it is not showing the results. So from this analysis, profit center and cost center, you get all the details. In the tax related, you have the TDS masters, which is called in SAP as withholding tax, TDS, TCS. Then you have the GST rates, HSN code related. There's one more module, which is HR module, where you have all employee related data right till the salary processing. Now we'll see relating to the chart of accounts. See, as we saw in the organization chart, client was the highest. Then you had the chart of accounts and the company code. So chart of accounts defines, see, for us, chart of accounts is like a trial balance. But to get the trial balance, you have to define the entire chart of accounts. Suppose I define a GL, which is called as my sales related. We'll just take an example of sales. So in sales, you have various fields in SAP for defining a GL. There you will define whether you can post entries automatically there. So there is a tab of auto posting. You have to ensure auto posting is on for the sales GL or consumption, inventory related GLs, revaluation GLs. So entry is automatically triggered from the account determination. You should also ensure what is the deletion flag. You have a tab called do not post. So if you have a tag enabled, do not post, whether entries are posted in that account. So all these details we have to see. So the starting point of our SAP audit is you should ask for their chart of accounts. Okay. Then here what is there? As we said, journal ledgers are created on the chart of accounts, which are used for your daily posting. Now, chart of accounts has three types of chart of accounts. One is operational chart of accounts. If it is a standalone company, it doesn't have any subsidiaries or a holding company, it is a single chart of accounts. You have a group chart of accounts, which is applicable. Suppose a holding company is there, it will ask the subsidiaries to apply the chart of accounts for all the companies. And in SAP, you have a basic functionality where every country specific chart of accounts is already defined in the system. It starts with CA. So CAIN is India chart of accounts. Accordingly, you can download the chart of accounts. Now, if we see the vendor master, the main fields, you know all the basic fields which are required, GST registration, payment terms, we won't go into that. Most important thing in vendor master in SAP is the GL reconciliation account. Okay. In this reconciliation account, suppose I create a vendor under domestic. If I create my number, it will come 1 and I attach it to the domestic. So my sub-ledger will come automatically and it will tally. Suppose my sub-ledger, there are 10 vendor codes and my reconciliation account is having the total balance of the 10 will come. You don't have to cross tally all these things. In other systems, we have an issue that vendor balance and the main GL balance do not match. Sub-ledger to the main ledger. So these issues are not here. Again, here you have this vendors. There is a functionality. You cannot change a vendor when you are booking an goods receipt or an invoice. Okay. So here, if you see the red arrow, which is there at the vendor, this vendor number will be automatically generated when you save the vendor. And here is the reconciliation account. So for every vendor creation, you have to give a reconciliation account, whether that vendor is domestic, group company, or it is imports. Or you have to give the reporting for MSME also. All those details are captured in the vendor master. There's one more functionality where we always say three-way match. In that also, in the vendor tab, you have a functionality where you have a tab where you say goods receipt. PO is mandatory. So you cannot do an invoice without a goods receipt. Okay. Then the important master is the material master. In the material master, the valuation class which is defined is the important field. So on the type of the material, the valuation class is defined. So suppose these are the types of material what we are seeing here. ERSA stands for spares. ROH is raw material. Then VERP is for packing material. HALB is for semi-finished goods. FERT is for finished goods. So all this individual material class is mapped to the GL. So that way accounting, that is called the account determination in SAP. So in case for this ROH material type, I assign a GL which is spares. My account is going to go wrong, will go for a toss. In SAP, once you post a transaction, you cannot undo it. So I have to create a fresh GL again. So all assignments have to be done again. So this is the most important thing. Whenever I'm doing any testing, the user has to check the accounting entry. Till that point, that user acceptance training is there, testing is there. Yes.
One query, maybe price fixation can also be done with
Yes.
SAP.
Yes. Here, this is the tab of price control. So here, this is standard or variable.
Yeah, because what happens if suppose someone is not in a position to arrive at final price, then person has to do trial and error, and then price can be arrived at.
No, actually, at the basic level of definition, suppose my starting point for any manufacturing cycle is raw material.
Okay.
So if I say ROH, raw material, there I will define as SAP standard or industry standard is moving weighted average price, MAP. So if you define a tab there, with every purchase, the weighted average will change.
Correct.
That way. So it will take a moving weighted average.
But then price once fixed has to be stable. MRP.
No. For now that depends on company to company. Some companies go for weighted average, moving weighted average. Some will go for standard. So when I have a standard, they will take a standard run. Then at the month end, standard versus actual, the difference is posted. So here, if you want to follow standard, then you have to come to actual at some cutoff which is defined by the company. So if it is done at the month end or the quarter end, it will take budget, means standard versus actual and post. That run is taken.
The profit or loss, whatever.
Yes,
price,
correct. So
because MRP cannot be changed very frequently. That's why I'm asking.
Yes, it cannot be. This is costing run. And MRP is different. MRP, material resource planning, that is means with the production. So if I define a production order, I take a
He's
run.
saying MRP of pricing.
Pricing
Correct,
is
na?
meaning that.
Pricing is
Sale price.
yes.
See, that's what I'm saying. No, for sales price related, no, you are entering the sales prices and determining, then you have to upload it. Correct. So that is the frequency what company has to do. See,
Revision, price revision.
yes, price revision. So I may take monthly, yearly, or suppose some companies, their price is listed to any metal. The metal changes, that price is again changed as per that, whatever their increase. The band is defined, the price will change accordingly, my FG price. So for FMGC goods, then it must be,
Volume
every
is different.
cycle is different, company wise.
Steel industry is very
Correct,
different.
correct.
The iron and this thing is the main.
Correct.
So their prices keep on.
Sorry, specific question, like in case of Parle-G, normally prices are consistent. Maybe they are reducing the quantity. I don't know.
Correct. They reduce the weight and quantities, the price is the same. If you are giving that example of Parle-G, earlier that pack for 10 rupees was bigger. Now if you see that biscuit is become smaller, thinner.
So indirectly they are controlling.
Correct. So they are adjusting the cost and not the selling price. That way. So selling price is remaining the same. I was doing audit of one of a company where copper was the main raw material. So it was linked to London Metal Exchange.
I also did.
Huh?
Okay.
Yeah.
I also did.
No, I was doing to one electrical cables manufacturing
I also
company.
doing polycab.
Oh, Pinolex I was doing. So that is the most important thing. It is linked to London Metal Exchange.
Dynamic.
Right.
अभी का भी call लेना है, अभी का भी book करना है.
So their procurement, it is hedged forward. So many things come into it. So there the pricing becomes very important. It is linked to which main product, which is their base material for that. And that, as you say, no, normally raw material should go with moving average price. then you will get the correct consumption figure, cost of goods produced also, and you are linking it. And again, there's a business call whether I have to pass the price reduction or no, or increase or no. On those lines, that call is taken.
Sometimes it is contractual commitment also from buyer side. That is very complicated.
And sometimes they take a run, and sometimes the price is edited, which is the last thing you should do. There's a transaction called MR21 where prices change manually in system, but that is never advised. So whenever we do audit, we should check this most important point, that whether they are doing any price revisions through this. So that is like manually or interfering in the accounts and changing it, which should not be done. So anything on this? Material master. So here, all this definition is most important. Material type, valuation class, what price is defined, and to which GL it is going. See, in many companies, they have a one-to-one relation between material type and the GL. So ROH, I have one GL. Again, they are having class of raw materials where you are having, see, these are the details where SAP has standard definition. If I want to distinguish raw material domestic, raw material imported, then I will create a Z material type, ZROH, customized. So there I can increase this. But suggestion is that always you should use the standard materials. If they get exhausted, you go in for a customization. And always the most important thing to check here is there should be no negative inventories, correct? You run a session which is called MC.9. There, if you find negative entries, negative balance, then your SAP is not implemented correctly. The tag that there should be no negative balance, it should be ticked. And consumption raw material accounts for any manufacturing company 60 to 70%. So that is the core area which we have to consider. Okay, now here for the master data, what are the controls? Any master data created should have a maker checker concept. So then for this, if we say see relating to the chart of accounts. So any changes are done to auto post accounts. You have a tick where only automatic entries can go there. But someone has an authorization to open the tick and he is posting entries and then again enabling the tick. Then you are entering. So you are not following the maker checker concept. So I have to check what and in SAP, any document type you enter. Suppose I'm ticking it and entering a document, the document type will be different. So all these things I need to check. We'll see to it later on in the document types, but this is the most important control. Again, you are having do not post accounts, but you see balance in that. See, many times we have some effect is not going correctly. I open a manual account. In many companies, if you see the trial balance, depreciation manual. So for some asset, it is not working. I have to finalize. I'll open that. But in the subsequent years, you should never have any entry in that. Then master data should have a maker checker for financial tab. See, whenever you are creating a vendor master, there is a tab called a financial tab. Okay, where it has the data of the reconciliation account and the bank details. So bank details are the crux for any master data for vendor. There are many cases we have come across in audit. There have been frauds where the vendor account has been changed without a maker checker. On the face of the what you say when you are running a payment run, you can see Smita Bid as a vendor, but the GL bank account is different. Payment is going there. There have been frauds ranging from lakhs to crores in this. So this is the most important control which you have to check, that financial tab has a maker checker control.
So this particular instance that you mentioned, when we go to any particular master, that edit history we can check, but is there a way that we can run like before payment run or as a part of audit, what all changes have been made to masters? Is there any single report for that?
Yes, there are reports wherein you can see if you download the master data also, it will have a tab created by, changed by, and changed date also. Okay. From there also you can check, and you can also we have reports wherein you can check what are the changes to the GL, changes to the vendor master, to which tab. These are standard SAP reports. I'll be sharing FI and MM related also some T codes. They'll have these details.
Okay.
So change management, checking for all these changes is most important. And most important for the vendor master is the bank account details.
Yeah.
Now, as we see master data is the basis for entering any transaction. So in SAP or any ERP, when I want to enter a sales transaction, data relating to the customer master is automatically picked up. Sale transactions relating to the material are automatically picked up there. Okay. And the master data and the transaction data stays in the system. Log of the entire details is here. Now for accounting in SAP, as you all know, all the entries, there are document types for every entry. So we need to analyze the document types which are automated and manual. Important focus is to make a list of all the manual document types and see what entries are passed there. Whenever any manual entry is there, no, you should have a maker checker concept there. There is one more which is like park and post in SAP. Okay, so if I make a transaction, I will park the entry and my senior is going to check the entry. He'll check and he's going to post the entries. Once the entry is posted, effect will go to the financials. So for any cutoff, I have to have the details where I can check what are the list of entries which are parked in the system.
So the difference between park and post is park is accounting done by someone and post is finalized by his superior.
Correct.
Actually accounted.
Yes, correct. So park is only just for pending for approval. That way.
Park will not be shown in trial balance.
Correct. Park, but we have to take to ensure completeness for any cutoff. We have to check what are the list of entries which are parked and not pending for approval, not posted. This is just the technical part. All entries posted are in the tables relating to financial data is BKPF and BSEC. And for SAP S4 HANA, it is called AC DOCA table, okay, which is the crux. Because of this table, they always say HANA is working faster. This is because of this table. So all the data is stored here and it's easy for retrieving the data faster than R3.
Okay.
So if you see all the companies are saying now we will migrate to S4 HANA.
Correct.
So it is because of this functionality.
Are you going to elaborate on this too?
See all the data. Suppose I make an accounting entry in SAP. My details of the vendor, customer, posting date, date of transaction, edited by, document type. All these fields are stored in these tables. So one is called a header table, one is called a master data transaction data table. And this AC DOCA table in S4 HANA is combination of BKPF and BSEC. In one table, you will get entire details. Anything else? So these are the document types, just illustrative, okay? Document type starts with 2 alphabets, and if you'll see here, every document has a description assigned to it, and you need to check all these details. So AA, AB, AC, all this. See, there you'll have more than 100 document types in SAP, but you need to analyze. See, a very basic thing to analyze on document type is you take a a GL dump from a customer from the company. Suppose you are taking the most important GL consumption. In consumption, there should be only entries which are automated. Okay, by movement type 201, 202 only.
Correct.
All these fields you can do by a simple pivot. In SAP itself, you have a filters there from the data. When you download the GL, you are having filters like you have in Excel. There you do the filter and you'll get the details. You can slice and dice the data there itself. Even you don't have to download to Excel. With every change in document type, you can take the
Cha coffee kuch.
Yeah, tea.
no.
Your coffee. 2 teas.
So
हाँ,
So you have to take on every document type, take details, make a summary of that, and which are the document types. See, there first you just do a basic exercise of sorting the data, taking subtotals on the document type, and then you check. See, the maximum chunk of data will be only on one document type. Okay, because that is the automated entry. If I'm having any manual entry, that is a pointer for me. I have to check why that is happening. Okay. So here if you see, AC is relating to payroll document, AF is relating to depreciation posting. So if I take a dump of depreciation, first I should do on document type analysis. That will let me know which are the document types by which I can post to the. Okay. So the next is, see, whenever all these entries are passed, SD module, the data goes to accounts receivable, module goes to asset payable, asset management. All this financial accounting data is going and sitting in the general ledger in our accounts. In the general ledger, you are having the financial reporting from where you are extracting the trial balance. To get a holistic picture, just we'll see one slide of this. And from the financial data, you have a CO, that is controlling module, that is used for management analysis and reporting, where the data of profit centers, cost centers, internal orders, all is coming into picture.
So CO can be used for audit also.
Yes, yes. But company has to implement. Many companies say we have not implemented CO also. Actually, no, if the CO is implemented correctly, you get segment reporting data from SAP.
MIS can also be generated
Yes.
for management action.
Yes. And as you came up to this point of MIS, always you should see that MIS and the reports in SAP are in line.
Yes.
Always what happens, they give a reason, my SAP is different, but my MIS I'm doing this way. It has to reconcile at some point of time. And MIS is the best details for analyzing, because company is looking at MIS. That MIS should replicate in my SAP. That is how and that is going for the segment reporting. Till that point of time, I can get the reporting from SAP.
Right.
So now we'll just see the accounting entry. You all have seen the key fields to be checked in the accounting entry is the document type. In that, you are having the document date. Okay. The document date is the date which is physically present on the document. Then comes the entry date. Entry date is the server date, which is captured. So I cannot edit the entry date. It is coming from my server date. Posting date is the period when I'm posting it. Suppose my entry date is today, 20th of Jan, and I'm posting in December. It is not a good control. Okay, why it's not a good control? You have a details of posting period or control on posting period in SAP.
Sorry, I missed it. Entry date should precede posting date.
And see,
document date.
document date.
No? Anyway, you
Or
have a
if you are
document only, then
posting
you-
later also is fine, but this posting period, you have a concept of 1 to 12 posting period, monthly one posting period is there. So if you are in January and you're posting in November, it is not a good control. See, when I'm closing my MIS, I should close my SAP period also. No entry should be open in SAP. Period should be open so that I can do backdated entries. So this control is very important when we do a listed company audit. I should ensure at least quarterly control is in place. So this period is not open. Same is the case when I'm doing the entries for the year end. That is the most important point where I see. So whenever I'm finalizing, my entry date should not go beyond when my results are published, except for dividend. So that is the most important control. And again, this is relating to the translation date. Translation dates falls for all the foreign currency transactions. So if here all these dates are highlighted, if you see here, business area also is there, a small red arrow mark. And in SAP, when is the document entry generated? As we saw earlier, when you have park and post, when entry is posted, document number is generated. Here, if you see in the screenshot, there is no document number in the document. Okay. And again, document number is auto-generated as per the number range, which is defined. So for suppose sales, you have a number starting from 1. For purchase, consumption booking or inventory related, you'll have in numbers from 2. So that is a number range which is defined for each document types. Series, number range, series. So here if we see, when the entry is posted, you are having the document number coming in, and you see here the cost center data.
So
Yes, we have Murtuza sir here for a.
so we have Murtuza sir, the chairman.
Hi sir.
यार अनिल क्या बोल रहा है?
Well, buddy.
एकदम मिलिट्री आउटफिट में है। भाई भाई कौन थे ऑनलाइन कितना है?
Online
बोलो
fees
नरेंद्र भाई।
ज़्यादा
Yeah.
as of now.
Welcome.
इंट्रोडक्शन आप सोए चालू आदमी है कौन छे?
So 12 participant as of now, 20-25 आता.
You started already?
Yes sir, 3 to 5. So
Come,
if
sorry,
you can
sorry.
sit.
Sorry.
So 3 to 5 હતું. So we have started. So we have a brief. Just wait. WIRC beloved WIRC chairman CA Muthuza Kachwala sir is there, the man of internal auditor. So he will guide us the forward journey for internal audit, what sir has done. So it is a great privilege for us since sir has not addressed and they have accepted our invitation for the first time in almost 12 months. So let's hear from the yes. So I give the honors to Muthuza sir to please address the participant and give us the way forward.
Thanks, Bhavin. So, good afternoon to everyone who is there online as well. And let me thank first Bhavin Parikh, Anil Makhija and Purvi Marani for running this study circle, internal study circle so well. And I should also thank each and everyone for contributing. I've been seeing Ashish Jaiswal also doing regular sessions,
Yes.
and many others would have done it. So thanks to each and every one of you. And see, like looking at what has hit the market in the last 3-4 days as well, I think we should be, if you are an internal audit professional, you should be happy that the chances of going to jail are much lesser, right? External audit, I'm sure it is like the top end, but it also has got its level of risk which comes with it. But see, like I divide this thing into either an audit, which is an external audit, or taxation, or when I say advisory. So I don't even call it as an internal audit. But if we understand the processes well, and if we understand the business, the industry well, then I think we can do so many things. We can write policy procedures, we can do control self-assessment, we can do end-to-end complete enterprise risk management, ERM, we can do internal financial control, design and testing, we can do SOX testing if the clients are global. Of course, again, internal audit also means end-to-end process reviews. But there are now so many other things, like say, when we look at, and I call them management support activities. Creating asset register, doing physical verification asset, bar coding, that also gives humongous amount of revenue. And Vodafone types, they got thousands of cell sites, and then there are so many parent and child items. So if we create that, I think we can do work there. Inventory. There are multiple organizations who use multiple instances of SAP and all. The inventory is lying at various places. They are struggling and the inventory cost goes up. So they want us to come and review and tell us like where there is excess, where there is non-moving, where there is slow moving, and add value. Because if we tell them and if they can reduce the inventory and if they can reduce the working capital, they're very happy. And now people have started doing checklist audits. Now these are not only checklist audits. So the likes of like say a Bata or a Samsung or a Oyo Room or a Harley Davidson, everyone gets audits done at their multiple location across the country. And when you talk about a Oyo Room and a Samsung, monthly they do 1,000 audits, 1,000 properties are visited. और उसके अंदर पहला आप पूरा डेटा ले लो SAP Oracle जिधर से भी डेटा का एनालिसिस करके उसमें से कुछ इंसाइट्स निकालोगे किधर क्या गड़बड़ हो रहा है. Then your people go to the site. There could be a checklist which is on the back of it. There is a database. People can use the mobile to take photographs and evidence and upload that. And otherwise, they can do yes, no, yes, no. And the moment they step out, then the warehouse keeper or the client there has to also say okay. So like they also accept. The acceptance of the report happens there only of the observation. And
So there is no
immediately it gets consolidated and you got a complete view. So I think so many things are happening, so many things. The work is endless.
Mystery audit.
According to me, mystery audit. So
mystery
work
audit.
is endless. And we at WIRC, at the Intern Committee, are trying to do like multiple of these workshops or the sessions on multiple of these items where our members can learn and then we can implement or sell to our client those services. So I think always available. Although I stepped down as chairman on 24th of February, but I'll still continue as a council member for the next 2 years. And I'll request the next chairman and office bearer if I can be the chairman of the Intern Committee for the next year. And even if I'm not there, in
Not
any case,
there.
we'll be connected and we'll keep doing the work. So any inputs, anything for us or anything that you want to do, please let us know. Anyone wants to write anything, कोई भी publication के ऊपर कुछ लिखना है तो anyone wants to come as a coordinator speaker, let us know. We are happy. आज बाजू के रूम में इधर एक टैली पे सेशन चल रहा है and 4 speakers. When I asked 60 people in the room, did you learn something new? Everyone raised their hands. And what we have covered is hardly 5% of the features which are there in Tally. So there is enough and more which we can do. So I think that's it from my side. Anything else? Any inputs? Anything? Happy to support. Thank you.
Great. It is really a pleasure because last year only Muttuza sir has formed the internal audit study group. Earlier it was not there. So under the leadership of Muttuza sir, first time the internal audit study group was formed. And this year various seminars, process audits and internal audit. And the way forward, it is not an endless what Muttuza sir has said. Ke SAP audit, although I won't think so, definitely would be there for the chairman. But still there is a huge amount of the focus and the process is there. So we need to guidance would be required and the direction which way our profession can go leaps and boundaries to the next level. So definitely sir would require a huge amount of the efforts and thank you for being such a man of internal audit, which I don't find it from yours. The study group internal audit was not recognized also.
Correct.
Because on his behalf only the last year it was formed. Just understand okay, internal audit was not so much of the focus and nowadays internal audit is around. So it's a buzzword and what we can say definitely a need for our okay, whether the process checklists are really dynamic based on his interaction with the CEO. So he has various chief round audit discussion also with all the chief audit executives for all pan India and understand writes various amount of the books, various publication also under the leadership which is going in front as of now also what I can have seen it. So various publication will be also there for internal audit study group also. So this what from my side. I would request Anil Makhija, our deputy conveyor also wanted to say some few words.
Of course, Murtuza sir has led the foundation now, and then, it is up to us now. How do we reciprocate to him his dream? I know Murtuza sir from more than 10 years now. I am being nurtured under him, and the confidence that I have to speak or take the session is of course given by him. During my small study circles lecture, he used to help me a lot. So he is always available 24/7 for internal audit, irrespective of wherever you are, wherever he is. He is always approachable in my view, and we should we should learn that agility from him. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much.
See, what we'll do is, again, the nomination for the internal audit committee. There are 35 committees at WIRC. Some of us may want to be on the forensic side. There is a FAFD forensic committee. Then there is an internal audit committee. There is an IT DAP committee. So anyone wants to get nominated on any of the WIRC committee, please send me a WhatsApp text. We will activate the committee as well, and we'll keep this study group active. We'll again plan three months in advance, like what topics to be taken. And it is not necessary that we meet only once in a month. If you want to meet more than that, meet. ये अपना बिल्डिंग है, फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है, ₹1 रेंट नहीं है, और चाय कॉफी और पानी का पैसा नहीं लगता है ज्यादा. WRC can afford that, okay? So please let us meet more frequently, and I would encourage everyone who is at least in Bombay, we should come physically so that we can network, meet each other and all of those. और अगले साल अपने स्टडी ग्रुप में भी ज्यादा पार्टिसिपेशन होना चाहिए. That we should try. So that is there. One other thing which I want to embark upon from March now is we are talking about doing a CAE questionnaire. We want to do a survey. So we will create the survey. We'll put it up on a survey monkey or something, or on a database, and we would want to at least cover 200 chief audit executives across India, get their inputs on certain criteria, and then publish a book on that. So we'll start working on that as well. Okay. So there are a lot of things which you need to do in internal audit, but I'm sure with support from everyone, we'll be able to do a lot more. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before you go, I want to ask you one question. What should be the base of SAP audit, checklist based or dynamic?
See, checklist should be there because that will cover at least the basic minimum. But otherwise, other than that, I think we have to keep on thinking always. And with the thinking should always be, how can I improve this checklist or add more checkpoints into it?
Yeah, because I have observed that many companies are not relying on checklist-based audit. So that is why I thought I will speak.
So here is an experience. She does a SAP audit with all listed companies also on a frequent only.
What kind of practice you people are following? Checklist-based?
As sir said, we have a standard checklist, but it has to be customized company-wide.
Company-wise.
Client business knowledge is the most important thing.
And that is
For
the beauty
that-
of internal audit. It makes you think continuously.
Obviously.
Unlike the taxation part where you think only due dates, here we have to think process and the client.
And process is constantly changing, as you
Dynamic, yes,
mentioned.
because
process.
businesses are dynamic, so you have to be dynamic. We have to
Whatever
be
change,
dynamic.
you have to change.
And see, now at least the whole model is changing because in many of us, when we talk about the next gen audit, we start with doing analytics first.
Correct.
Right? अभी procure to pay का अगर audit करना है, तो I don't know whether it is Tally or SAP or Oracle and whether the control is working or not. But the client said कि पहला परचेज रिक्वेजिशन आएगा तो ही परचेज ऑर्डर इशू होएगा. वो हो रहा है कि नहीं मालूम नहीं है. तो पूरा डंप लेके अगर 2 डेट कंपेयर कर लिया तो मिल जाता है. एक क्वेरी लिखना है. Similarly, the GRN quantity, does it exceed the PO quantity? You can have one query. These controls are there in SAP. But like अगर सेम बॉटल अगर मैं 3 वेंडर से ले रहा हूं और अलग अलग रेट है, तो क्या लोएस्ट रेट वाले वेंडर से परचेज किया, ये तो कंट्रोल एसएपी में नहीं है. तो ये अगर मैंने क्वेरी लिखा है तो इमीडिएटली मिल जाएगा. अच्छा, स्प्लिट पीओ. अभी भाविन का लेवल लिमिट है 50,000 रुपया, लेकिन भाविन ने क्या किया, ये उसका दोस्त है अनिल मखीजा, तो अनिल को 1 लाख का ऑर्डर देना था. पहला 40, दूसरा 40,000 और तीसरा 20,000, 3 पीओ रेस किया. अभी स्प्लिट पीओ का कोई एसएपी में कंट्रोल नहीं है, लेकिन हम लोग क्वेरी लिख सकते हैं कि लाइक pick up all POs issued by one employee to one vendor and then take the amounts and compare it with the delegation authority matrix table and 10-20% variation में जितना है वो दे दो. That is exception report. Now if there is something, then you have to go and check. So what is happening now is, पहला, understand the client's nature of business, understand the client's IT environment, and then accordingly you write your queries either using a Power BI, Power Query, Tableau, पाइथन कोडिंग जो कर सकते वो करो, और कुछ नहीं कर सकते ना तो सबसे सस्ता आइडिया ले लो,
फ्री अप टू 1000 रोज फ्री।
फॉर्म रजिस्ट्रेशन नंबर देके 50,000 रुपया देना है वन टाइम, और हर साल का रिन्यूअल फीस 10,000 है। 10,000 में आइडिया लेके क्या करने का है, जितने भी क्लाइंट्स का डेटा आता है डालो, वीडियो देखो, वो हिसाब से क्वेरी रन करो, एक्सेप्शन रिपोर्ट आ जाएगा। एक्सेप्शन रिपोर्ट आने के बाद सैंपल सेलेक्ट करके वो प्रोसेस एंड टू एंड देखना तो देख सकते हैं, और डॉक्यूमेंट और वर्किंग पेपर रख सकते हैं। तो अभी तो बहुत चेंज हो रहा है, बहुत चेंजेस हो रहा है।
What he is trying to say in nutshell is the only way to get out is to get in.
Yes.
So deep dive.
Okay, guys.
Thank you so much, sir,
Sorry,
for
I
your
took
time.
your time. I disturbed you guys. Please continue with your discussion, and thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Might have to curtail.
Yes. So the most important point is you should understand the client.
Bhavin, I just
You have to count their document series.
Yes. Okay, so now we should understand the client, which was again told by sir also. And there you have to, as we saw, the document types and what the entries are posted. Okay, here you cannot see the document type in this. And when the entry is posted, it is seen in the header. You can check the header document from this hat if you see the icon. The hat icon, from there, you can check the document, what are the details, the entry date, posted by, when it is posted, all those details will be seen there. If you see, you can see the document currency also in this tab. Here, currency is mentioned. Here, the cost center details also are mentioned here.
एक फोटो लेते हैं, जाओ रुदे जाओ, आगे आगे जल्दी है, जल्दी है।
So, like the GL extract in SAP.
Madam, one photo will do. The study group has no such opportunity.
आओ भाभी आओ। अच्छा, वेरी गुड। हटाना है कुर्सी। इंटरनल स्टडी ग्रुप बहुत जोरदार चल रहा है, शानदार एकदम। Next person. Last.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Chalo, okay.
So now we'll, okay, this was the, so leisure extract in SAP looks like this. So I have not seen or done audit in SAP. Here you see the periods here, 1 to 16. So 1 to 12 are relating to every month accounting period. April, May, June, July. What we have, 12 is March. And you see special periods. 13 to 16 are called the special periods, wherein after every cutoff, company gives you a balance sheet, first cutoff, second cutoff, they are maintaining that way. 13 will be first cutoff. Every company has its own policy.
The duration of each cutoff?
It is on the company. Suppose for listed company, I need to declare result between after 60 days for the end of the year. So there, what they will do? They'll take the first cutoff 13, 14, and one period will have only entries relating to audit. So it's easier for control purpose also. Okay, now relating to the controls, the basic inherent controls in SAP are debit is equal to credit, any entry posted cannot be edited again. You have to reverse it, but you cannot delete any entry. Some fields are inherently required in any entry, which are called the mandatory fields. Now, this is again on the company to decide. So company can decide if they want to make cost center mandatory. We were doing some audits where reports on cost center, we had blank cost centers. So there's no use of using SAP. When you have an ERP, you have to use the maximum functionality of the ERP. Even the employee should be trained to do all that. So the mandatory fields are like cost center has to be mandatory. Then you can analyze a GL where you will come to know what are all the entries going to respective GLs and to respective cost centers. Cost center wise data can be got. Then again, you are having, as we already discussed, subledger and GL, the main GL. They will reconcile. Now, what are the automations again? Auto posting should be enabled for key accounts. My consumption account should not be open for manual postings, or my sales, cost of goods sold GL. Documentation change rules. Like in SAP, you can have which fields can be edited. The main critical field should not be edited after posting. You should also ensure for all the manual entries there is park and post functionality, or for the major transactions their automated GL is determined. As we said, auto, it is linked like we saw for raw material or material type. GL is linked to the material type. Asset class GL is linked to that. So here are a few examples. This has to be automated. There should be no manual intervention of selecting the general ledger. For purchase, consumption, inventory transactions, for invoicing, cost of goods produced, cost of goods sold. Again, foreign exchange related. Foreign exchange rates can be updated in the system and all the details are automatically captured to the GL of loss, profit or loss on Forex, and they are revalued at the cutoff. Then you have asset capitalization, which is automated GL. Then you have depreciation, sale or discarding of assets, where GLs are automatically captured. So you have to ensure all these controls are in place. Now, for any system, period end, cutoff is again a most important thing. You have to check what entries are posted to auto post GLs. We saw in the GL extract the period 1 to 16 are there. So who is maintaining that period control? There should be a authority who is dedicatedly doing that. So suppose I have a authority of opening a period 9. So suppose it is December for Indian financial year. If I am posting an entry in 9 and I have an authority to open, suppose September also, I can do some backdated entry in September. So that is the most important control. Who has access to open the period?
But then, if suppose somebody is passing backdated entry, is it possible to track actual date of backdated entry?
Yes, entry date. Whenever system, that is the crux and the key feature. Entry date is the system date.
One cannot change.
Cannot hide. You will have a trail of who is entering. Posting date, if you open the period, you'll know when you take a dump of the entries, who has entered and when. You were mentioning
There's
something.
also another way of finding the entry series number. That will be different of an entry which is put in later by opening the period. So that is an important way.
Yes, yes. So this can happen only when again the period is open.
Right.
Correct?
Yes, ma'am, only when the period is open. So that is an important way through which we can find out.
Yes, yes. Then access, who has access to post journal entries? So, okay. So manual JVs, you have to have maximum control. Each and every JV testing, who is passing it, you have to check. Then you have to have SOD, segregation of duty between who is maintaining the period and passing the journal entries, as we discussed right now. Then SOD between park and post journal entries. The same person should not enter so that it is getting affected in accounts, direct posting.
Sorry to interrupt, but then many times I have observed that in order to, SAP is charging based on number of users, I believe.
Yes.
So in order to save cost, two users are using same login ID and those kind of things.
Yes.
are happening.
Those
Yeah.
yes, that is happening. SAP comes, they do a license audit also. There they are checking all these things. They check the IP of the machine. Ideally, it is dedicated. Rare cases, a person will use someone else's PC. So all this comes in the license audit. For the violation, they need to pay.
So SAP is conducting.
Yes, they are conducting. And what you said, no, just taking that point forward, there you are having generic IDs. You don't have
Correct.
a ID
For example,
dedicated.
auditor's ID,
Correct.
generic
Correct.
ID.
But
We have
auditor's
two different-
ID can be generic, but the functional users who are entering the data,
Should not be.
it should be unique. Ideally, they should have a nomenclature name or surname, whatever
or
it is.
many organizations keeps it linked to the PF number, employee number or PF.
Correct. Employee. So again, it is unique. Correct. But when you have fin accounts, miscellaneous, SD, these should be discouraged because again, these are all generic IDs. You cannot assign or who has entered it that way. Then anything else in FI and anyone has queries or any other control which you want to discuss? Then we'll go to the procure to pay cycle. Again, procure to pay, as we said, consumption accounts for any manufacturing company 60 to 70% of my P&L. So here, my procure to pay cycle is most important, which starts with the MRP run when it is taken. Again, here MRP is whenever you are generating what orders you have, sales orders, whether I have production, my FG is there. If my FG is not there, I will plan what is the required quantity of raw material I require, and then my purchase requisition is raised. So my module starts with procure to pay. So here, if you see here, first number is relating to PR, that is the requisition. And here the prerequisite is after the MRP run is taken, purchase requisitions are automatically generated in SAP on the basis of what you called as a MRP run plant wise. Okay, so it is specific to the location because I'm going to manufacture location wise and not company as a whole. So whenever client says we are taking MRP run, you have to ask them what is the frequency and how they are taking plant wise. That is the most important thing. Okay, then source determination. Murtuza sir already mentioned here. So how you are selecting the vendors. So vendor evaluation also is done in SAP. How the vendors are selected. If I give them a marking there, you have the vendor evaluation, your rating is coming from there. Then I'm awarding to them a purchase order. In purchase order, I'm defining the controls like my purchase order tolerance for the purchase, quantity and value, both. I'm defining this in my vendor master also, where I say whether my purchase order is mandatory whenever I'm doing and a GR is mandatory. After the purchase order, after follow-up the goods are received, that is called MIGO in SAP. And then after that, I'm making a MIRO, that is vendor invoice, IR, invoice verification. And then it goes to my payment. So payment is also, you have a functionality which is called as an automatic run in SAP. That is F110, which is used. Okay, this is gist of my procure to pay cycle. Yes.
This is the standard cycle of SAP.
Yes.
Then no quality inspection is there.
No. Quality is missed out.
It is there. No, every company, again, that is a customization. Every company is not necessary, they will implement quality module. See, the more modules you implement, you have to have manpower to do all that.
Correct.
So whenever you're implementing, suppose here we have quality module, we can incorporate that. So there in that quality module, you will have to define for every incoming material and outgoing material the parameters, and it has to be approved. You have to set a benchmark that way.
But quality control and quality assurance departments are anyway, they are existing in most of the big companies. So
correct.
It is this question of whether you have SAP, those modules in SAP or not, that's it. Otherwise, correct. Anyway, these departments already exist.
Correct. They are there, but doing all this in SAP. They have to.
So it is done differently.
Yes.
So it depends on the sensitivity. For example, a chemical company, quality is very important. Pharmaceutical company, that is the utmost important. Okay, for all the material. For some material, for example, textile, it may not be so relevant.
So they decide their own priorities.
Correct. Depending whether they want to go for that module or not. If it is like then the functionality, do you want to explain the functionality? So if there is quality module implemented, all the GRN, when the material is received, goes to the quality block. Once the QC approves, QC guys only have those rights to release those QC blocks.
Correct.
And then it gets the GRN added in the stock.
Okay, thank you.
And what he's adding to it, for pharma companies or other companies where batch is most important,
Yes.
QC is done batch wise.
Batch wise,
Right till
every
the
material-
source of the material till the FG batch wise it is done.
and some companies have the dedicated area. Unless the QC is done, physical material is also not moved, because the possibility of that spoiling other material is also very high.
And what he mentioned, area is different. That is what is in storage location. So there you have a storage location
QC.
which is QC. Material cannot be issued to production. Only material which is in
Approved.
approved quality can be issued. There is always one more location which is rejected. After quality material is there, it will be in the rejected location. And for that, my physical location and my virtual location should match. The point which you raise, no, how do I ensure it will come from this discipline? So at many times, no, QM is not implemented because people are working but they cannot confirm in SAP. Goods are already dispatched. Then there is a lag that way. So here we saw that the controls what we have to see which are automated are purchase requisition has to be released. So whenever I'm raising a PO, there cannot be a purchase requisition which is not released. Then there is a risk of ordering higher things for which there is no approval. Now this three-way match is the most important indicator in SAP, the most biggest control where I can restrict my material, only whatever is required can be taken. So here the three-way match is between PO, GR and IR. Whatever is defined in PO has to be received as per quality and quantity, and whatever is received when I'm doing the invoicing, it will be taken as per the tolerance limit what is said. Nothing can be changed. If I have to change, I have to reverse it and book a fresh GR. I just cannot
fresh PO.
till now company have PO amendment also. There's one process of PO amendment and one is new PO.
Correct.
So this functionality now, this is what is, you cannot go by checklist. So I have to again, when I make a checklist, whether company is reversing the PO, making a fresh PO or amending the PO. Then again you have in that whether what is the tolerance limit set. So again the tolerance limit set can be different as per the material. For RM it may be 10%. For spares they won't have any tolerance set at all. So depends on the ABC category of the material. So
the tolerance limit is with respect to numbers only, no? Quantity.
And value also.
Number, value, percentage,
Not
also.
quality.
Percentage. No.
After the material is received, three-way match is done. Good quality material only will come in.
I mean to say, quality parameters cannot be changed in this alteration, new PO.
Amended PO.
Amended PO.
But quality is not a characteristic of a PO. It is when material is at the inspection stage, quality comes into picture as per the PO. So PO is the basic where all the things are defined and QM module will validate that. So that is again defined material wise. So here is the screen visible, or if you see in the first tab, three-way match is defined in the PO. Here you have over and under tolerance, which is defined as a percentage. If you define as 10%, the tolerance, if the material is for 1 lakh rupees, you can go only up to 1,10,000. Beyond that, you have to approve the PO or you have to make a fresh PO. So there is, some companies have zero tolerance, means I cannot edit, I cannot do anything. I have to receive as per the PO only. Then you're having three-way match in the invoice also. So invoice, you will check the whatever is billed, MIGO is done, goods are received, only that is invoiced. that you need to ensure, and all these settings are there in the screenshot here. So here again, you will have the parameters of how much rate variance is there. Now here, prices cannot be changed, okay? Whenever I'm making an invoice, that is the tolerance part here. Prices in vendor invoice are not editable, and they, from where is the data picked up? From the
From
PO.
purchase orders.
So this is the master data linked to the transaction data whenever I'm making a PO. So tabs in invoice for different amounts should be inactive, means I cannot edit the amounts. So this is what, whenever we do a walkthrough, it should be through the production environment. There you should tell it, now change the rate, whether it is editable or no. Here you can check it, okay? Again, whenever there are many cases where we come across in audit that you have duplicate invoices. So this duplicate invoice check is also inbuilt. You can customize that. So I will give the invoice number. If you enter, you're going to pass the invoice again for the same. System will pop up a message, invoice is already entered. This is a duplicate invoice.
And a PO will also keep track of total quantities received against it.
Yes. So PO has a PO history where you have goods receipt tab at the above. There it will show the quantity received. Then the for what has been invoiced also it will show.
That is only a
Along
warning.
with
That is only a warning, I believe.
which
You
one?
can ignore and proceed file book.
Now again, this is customization. Warning and error.
Is it? I am not aware of that second development.
So here again, see, that is more of customization. They at some point they allow you, they'll give you a warning, they'll give you an error. So these
That's
are
where we
again
get
different.
duplicates,
Correct.
double payment
Yes.
issues.
So duplicate invoice check is the most important. Actually, all the controls, if are followed, I ensure my financials are correct and entry going is correct. So this is just for a reference. Those who have not done in SAP, goods receipt entry is inventory raw material to GRIR account. Okay. Now, if you see here, this inventory raw material account is coming from where? From the material valuation class, what is defined? What we saw, ROH material type. There it is defined. And this GRIR clearing account, you should always keep a watch on this, because at the end of my financials, when I at a cutoff, I should see what is lying in my GRIR.
Correct.
That indicates my invoices which are not
Yet to
booked.
be received.
So for any invoicing, goods received and invoice, the GRIR account is becoming nullifying here. Okay. And the entry gets booked to my vendor. Now here, if you see, this is the SAP screenshot of the same. This is the inventory raw material account, GRIR account, which is booked at the goods receipt stage. And here you see which the currency which is there. Now, after my invoice is booked, invoicing done, my control is what? Payment. How it is happening? It should happen automated payment only. It should be done through automatic payment run, which is called an APR. Okay. And here, when the entry is generated, approval is done. And if you see here, the access outgoing account is there. See, SAP is very vast to control. I've just taken some screenshots where if you see here, it is not only Axis bank account, it is Axis outgoing account. So SAP has a functionality of a main account,
payment
incoming account and outgoing account. So once this entry is cleared, coming in my bank main account, this will get nullified. So this is an outgoing account, payment is made to the vendor. So in the P2P, what are your main controls? That it should be automated payment recording should be done. See, when you're having this loose end of making payment manually, again, it is subject to whims and fancies of the respective person and the vendor. So you can have hand in glove and make an error. So you should always insist that why are you not implementing the automatic payment run?
Correct.
Then you should ensure that there is a segregation of duty between a person who is making a invoice booking and making a payment. It should not be the same. See, all these controls which are inbuilt in SAP are the basics what we have learned actually. So once we understand the process well, you have to ensure all those controls are in place. So now purchase order, who is releasing? It will be restricted as per their hierarchy. Access to blocked invoice. Okay, some, as you had raised a point on quality. Some quality invoices booked where means quality module is not implemented. There you will block the invoice for payment. That functionality is there in automatic payment run. So those invoices will not be released for payment. Who has the authority to unrelease these invoices? That is important. Then you have to have SOD between PO created and who is releasing the PO. Vendor master, as we already saw, vendor master bank payment tab, and who is creating the vendor should not make the payment processing. So it's a very simple thing. I will enter my bank account and make a payment processing. So I should ensure that. And again, person who is entering the goods receipt should not do the invoice for that. So we have seen two cycles. Main is financial closure and procure to pay. Now, once we do all this exercise in SAP, you always have, whenever you're going to certify the financials, who are passing the JVs and how do you analyze the JVs? JVs we'll concentrate only on manual entered. System driven entries, once you have checked all the controls, you can ensure everything is working fine. So for JV extraction, what you have to do, first you need to understand what are the document types in SAP. After that, you have to know through what transaction codes entries are passed in SAP. And then this is the screenshot where from the T code FBL3N, you can download the respective GLs, or you can give the entire range. You give the document type and you'll have a range. And this is the screenshot, because many struggle in getting the document type dump also. So I thought this is one of the important part we'll incorporate here. And here, if you see, this is the standard analysis what we do, which are the backdated entries, month-end entries, which are passed, many entries passed at one particular date, which are not passed in the regular course of your transactions. Then entries which are passed by, see, most important thing in any process is why are only the functional users pass the entries. If IT team is passing an entry, then something is not. So to regularize something, I'm passing all these entries. So transactions passed by IT users should be monitored. Then overall materiality you have to check. What are the unusual entries? So manually posted entries to auto post account. You'll see this control in each and every area, any module you do. So that is important. Then you have to search on specific tabs. Sales invoice, discount should be, depreciation should not be passed manually.
Automated.
All this should be automated. And any new GLs created during the audit period, you should always ask for the chart of accounts, as we said, that is a starting point. And what are the new GLs created and who has given the authority for that. Now in SAP, you have various reports which are there. Client will give you the various reports and they'll say, this is the standardized reports. Once you take those reports, sometimes they'll say, I'm not using this report at all. For getting one output, you have various reports in SAP. So you need to discuss with the user and then work on it. All the standard reports starts with S. Customized reports will start with Z or Y.
Correct.
And the logic of the customized reports is to be validated. Suppose they are giving vendor aging report. That's a standard report. You don't have to develop any special report for that. For any customized report, what is my base data? With that, I need to match the report logic.
Ma'am, can I stop here?
Yes.
How do we validate this? Do we get it in SAP or we have to understand from the team?
We have to understand the process. Suppose for many companies where we have seen, they are taking the report for slow moving inventory.
Correct.
It is
FSNO.
pain in SAP or anywhere. So because see, people do one last transaction date and that
exactly
inventory is
after
not
3
coming.
years. So how do we
Correct.
deal with this situation?
This you have to track
Manually only.
Manually, and then there are reports. But now they say I'm taking the last customized. Then you run a report where my last I take a range in that report itself. For the dump I take, I will see the range. No, only one of entry is there.
Correct.
Consumption or issue, and I mean reposting it there. So it is nullifying entry. No, that also we can check.
That manually only, but there is no.
No, from the system, I will put the parameter.
You have to see, correct.
Correct. See, when we take this MC.9, MB5B reports,
Correct.
there you have those date ranges. You can check there. So entry posted and reverse there itself. You will have 201, 202. It is nullifying. So those control, see, you can use many things in SAP without report also, but our understanding should be very clear.
Exactly. Yeah.
What movement type I will use, what movement type they are using for all these transactions.
Correct.
So see, this is actually the overall view. I have to go in module till the material level. And if I understand one material level, one automated control is that my MAP is getting booked correctly. My price, whenever I'm doing any invoice booking, SAP checks whether that is in stock. If when I'm booking my invoice, it will go to price difference or my inventory, it will load on inventory.
Correct.
All these controls I have to check, and accordingly, then if we go till the end, my inventory, as you said, for slow moving, non moving, there I will check till that point with which movement type, because they cannot enter any other movement type. You have dedicated movements for that.
One question. Can we get same report from two different sources?
Yes, yes.
And do they tally?
Yes, they have to tally.
But then if the people entering the details, in case if they are different, sources.
For standard reports, it won't change.
Okay.
For customized report, it changes because I have a flexibility or a manual intervention where I can select what I want in customized reports. Many reports, if you when you run a query, there is again a discrepancy. What fields you are selecting?
Correct.
When you are doing a customized report, they'll take 10 fields. Yesterday only we had a thing. We told them to run a query. They took a query we were doing for one bank. They took a query where that bank last interest paid column was wrong. They are doing it. So whenever we are running a query, what is our input parameter is important.
Right.
And because of that, see, in CBS or anything, the report is coming correctly, but the people do not know how to run a query. So you cannot validate the data. Whatever dump you are getting, that should match with my JV, finally what is passed in CBS. So
But madam, when you are doing this, you are testing the SAP, right?
Yes.
So you get to sit with these people. No, we are doing internal audit. We don't get to sit with the.
No, internal auditors have to sit with them. How will you know the walkthrough?
No, we do the walkthrough on our own. I mean, of course, with the client.
No, with the client, that's what.
But they are also not aware, no, technical, kya hota hai, production, kya hota hai. They are saying we are the users.
Process owner. So that's what, that is, means one of the questions she asked, no, whether it is on quality or production to test. Quality also we can know. We should tell them, you plan any time, whenever you're booking an invoice, you tell us.
We generally do that only.
But then that user will know all these editable fields are the front-end users only.
That also we ensure. But then, what the logic, what we were discussing now is the logic.
For running the report, no?
Logic, they also don't know. No? Many times our auditee is also not aware.
When you have to tell them, you run the report in front of me.
Of course, then we do.
That logic, no. Whatever they are entering the parameters, no. See, when you ask them for one plant, they will give you for 2 plants, 3 plants, or company across. Selection also, whatever report they have developed, what you select is also important. See, my end purpose, whatever, suppose you are taking the vendor aging report, if it is coming wrong from the system. So what I do, for standard report also, we will check. Again, in the vendor report, manual entries are not coming. From the standard report, if you pass manual entry, vendor aging report does not capture that.
I'm not aware.
It is happening that way. So all these things will come from the report validation. If I test thoroughly for one line item also, I get a comfort on that.
Okay.
And this user, what you're saying, they will not know the logic behind it, but the front end, what I have to tally, they know, objective of the report. That they will know.
That depends. That depends how curious he is. Then how curious he is to understand. Because sometimes we get those users, they are very in the SAP. Correct. They know much better than us.
They are the core users actually.
Correct. They are the one. I try to find out that, but everywhere we don't get so many things. Entire PS model I have learned from a guy whose name is Surojit Gomes. And whenever I suck up now, for even one client, I call him. For other, even if it is not that company, I call him. I take his.
And they are very helpful. And actually, when they are, they know from the implementation, exactly. They know each and everything.
He was a part of. He is a core team. Yeah. Continue.
Okay. Now this is the exception reports. See, this list I will be sharing with you. So here in the exception reports, if you see, no, main report which you should see, others are vendor aging and all is fine. All change reports you should see, and MM and FI RECO of material. My material ledger, what is seen in MM module, MC.9 if I take, and I take a report from MM. I just check the ledger balance. If it does not match, means there are manual entries.
MC9 and
MC.9
MC.9
and your normal GL you see.
Acha, that production wala, ROH wala.
Yes, yes. Each and every GL. If my MC.9 at a cutoff and my GL does not match, manual entries are there. So these are actually brownie points for our audit.
Correct,
Actually,
correct.
if you go through these exception reports, no, you will get those points. And even we get a comfort actually, for doing all this. And client knows many things. Actually, I have seen so many clients. आप एक तो query निकाल के देखो, and we'll end up having so many queries, and you have to have discussions with the till the CFO level actually. So they are so confident of their system. I told you this cash related. No, it was relating to one of the client that way only.
Acha.
हमारे है controls. Okay, I said we just want to ensure they're working. That is our actual job, no? And give the recommendations for any optimization. So this report we will share. Okay, now the last point is relating to interfaces to SAP. See, this is the most important thing. SAP never is working standalone in 80% of the clients. It is always having interface to some other software. Data is PO approval is done through some software. It is coming to this.
Nowadays, bill attachment of the bills.
Correct. But that is only what you say, that is storage, document management system.
Correct.
It is not having financial impact.
Correct.
But you have sales invoice also booked through some other software, and
true.
entry is getting passed in SAP.
Correct.
Or even goods receipt.
For example, DMart. So
Yes.
all these small entries are clubbed in one software and pushed to a
Correct.
product server in a some cut of time.
That is the interface audit which we have to do.
Correct.
And you just cannot only think of SAP, means standalone SAP. Systems around it also have to be checked, how the data is flowing to it. That is important. And you, in a layman language, it is called a data flow diagram. You keep SAP in between and just take what all at the periphery, what softwares are there and what financial impact they are having. That is the most important thing. So in that, what do you have to do for this? You are having master data. I've just taken a few. This list is unending. Actually, if you see, there are IoTs where we have seen on plant, the energy created, whatever energy generation because of the windmill, all those are linked and it is booked in SAP by a scheduler. So till that point of time, and they are getting green credits for all that.
Correct.
Booking carbon credit. The entries are flowing in SAP from that point. So starting point is generation. It is generated as per their schedule, maybe at the end of the day. And it is accounted in SAP.
So then how authentic that is, we have to do that.
So there again, we have to see how that is run, that batch is run, how the entries are posted, what is their mechanism for failure. They have a report, success and failure reports. So whenever there is any failure report, how data is migrated from what has gone wrong or that entire process is run. So in interfaces, all these points are very important.
True.
For checking. Any questions?
Already discussed. So
let others also know. Are there any questions? Participants?
So, okay, since there is no question, we'll ask our beloved participant Narendra Shah to just give a vote of thanks to Smita, our today's faculty. Yeah.
Hello. It was a nice session, and the speaker, Ms. Smita Bide, covered a vast range of topics of audit under SAP. It is a very vast topic, but then she nicely covered so many things, and I still feel that we should invite her for one more session at least. So I think that is the unanimous feeling. She took us through comparison with Tally and importance of chart of accounts. user acceptance testing, master data, so many things, and also shared her actual experiences. It was a very lively session, and we are really very much thankful to her for coming to us from Pune and taking us through all these things. Thank you so much. She definitely deserves a vote of thanks. Thank you very much.
Superb. Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much. Directly coming from Bangalore, and now she will be moving to Pune.
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye.
This was the best attempt of consolidating 20 years. Bye.
And thanks to please do invite her once again.
Definitely. I already said it in a larger platform, because this was on a, so I already
Much
had a
needed
word.
for all the basic
So what we will do it,